feel like I saw Lucian. Wasn't he right there?
He was right there.
I see.
He's coming back.
Alright. In here. Now, I understand, to be clear, how you can be hesitant to have someone look at your core. I am that way, personally speaking, and, well, it's it's an intimate thing to a degree. I know in the last stage people sort of did it a lot, but it's something personal to me, so I understand the hesitance. Now, I'm not prepared to do any rituals at the present moment, but I can take a look here and see what we're working with, if that's okay with you. Well, that depends on what I see, truthfully. Depending on what's going on with your core, my ritual may or may not be helpful.
I'll have a seat.
Now, if you're ready, please do take a seat, and I can take a look.
A moment's respite.
Let us relax.
this is odd. What I'm seeing here is like... From what I'm seeing so far, it looks as if the frost and chaos parts of your core are seemingly opposed at one another. And not in a sense where they're side by side, it's almost as if frost is enveloping chaos. Odd. That's very odd. No, core magics don't usually envelop each other like this. Not that I see. I'm trying to see if there's any other schools really at play here, if the rest of them sort of look normal. Would you say that Frost and Chaos are historically your dominant schools, Lucian? As I imagine it would, your magic's sort of opposed to itself. Normally that doesn't happen. It's curious. Well, your core, as you are vampiric in nature, will have the rest of the schools present, though they may be dimmer. I'm just trying to get a full view of things here, what I'm working with. If your dominant schools will always be the brightest in your core, they'll be the most apparent, but your core will contain every school of magic unless you've lost a school entirely, like, say, a seed bearer. Some former seed bearers are without schools of magic. I'm not seeing any evidence of that here, so... So there's a few thoughts in my mind. Your core is agitated. The chaos and frost are opposed to each other, which they shouldn't be. So one option is to make a concerted effort to calm your core. That would remove the pain. It would allow things to work in somewhat more harmony. A second option is to try and mend the cracks in the frost, though, truthfully, with how the frost magic appears to be enveloping your chaos, that might seal off chaos entirely, make you unable to use it. Given the particular structure of your core. And a third option, and I hesitate to suggest this, is to try and intentionally widen the cracks to allow more of the chaos out. Core magics should not be posed in such a way where one is covering the other. My ritual is good at mending damage in a core, even replacing lost schools. It isn't meant to break apart this part of your core.
As I mentioned, his chaos magic was sealed by someone, and he learned, well, was forced to learn frost in replacement to it. So how do we go about getting his chaos back?
I see. As far as I can tell, by whatever means this happened, the effect is rather apparent to me. It seems as if frost magic has been stretched around chaos. Cores don't naturally form in that way. So, it seems that one option is to attempt to peel back your frost magic. This would require making a sort of either widening the cracks or making, I'll call them cuts in your core to allow chaos magic to escape, and then a lot of careful manipulation to peel back the frost so that it's in its more natural state. Frost and chaos are opposed schools, but within a magical core both exist. With the efforts that have been made to your core, they do appear to be not working in that regard. Now, regrettably, what your core needs, unless you are wanting me to seal up the cracks, is likely outside the scope of what my ritual is designed for or capable of. That's my assertion of the situation based on what I'm seeing. For the sake of core manipulation here, what you would need is a mage that is very skilled in manipulating frost magic, and a mage that is very skilled in manipulating chaos magic. If you wanted efforts to be made to try and calm your core to make this process easier, you could have additional people help with that. Your goal here, as I understand it, is to unseal the chaos magic, yes? Here's my thought. The frost magic has been sort of forced in a way where it's now enveloping your chaos magic and making it difficult for it to escape. If things continue as they are right now, then you do suffer core damage, especially to frost. These cracks might widen and break. That would free your chaos magic, but it would likely come at the cost of the ability to cast your frost. For instance, normally I see core damage happen when you overstrain yourself in a magical capacity. So if you were to use a significant excess of frost magic, I'm not suggesting this, don't do this, but if you did use an excess of frost magic, it's possible that it would widen these cracks enough that they would start to form breaks. That would let your chaos free, but it would do a lot of damage.
How do we settle the differences between his core? How do we bring balance to it then?
Well, as I said, the simplest option is to make a concerted effort to try and soothe the chaos and frost. That would get them to stop fighting each other, as while chaos and frost are naturally opposing schools, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are meant to be at war, and your core should not be fighting itself. Both parts of your core have their own magical signature, so unless the frost has been introduced from an external source, it should all have the same magical signature. So it shouldn't be fighting itself, frankly.
It was introduced through an external form.
Interesting. In that case, that does provide a way forward here. If the frost magic is not native to your core, then it is likely that this is merely a manifestation of like and unlike. Core magics have a unique magical signature. When external core magic is introduced, you have to take very careful steps to make sure that it doesn't react violently with the magic already present in your core. That's one of the core pillars of my research and my ritual work. From what it seems here, those steps were not taken. Your chaos is sort of in its natural state. The frost magic surrounding it is, if I had to guess, not native to your core. In that sense, truthfully, it would have to be removed. Now, that would damage or remove your ability to cast frost magic, but it would restore your ability for chaos.
choose
Mm.
either chaos or ice?
No, not even that. I think the choice is really already made with it being chaos. Frankly, I'm surprised that this much frost, this much unlike external frost magic, has managed to stick around for as long as it has. If you seal up the frost magic, it will likely lock you out of chaos, and it will stabilize your frost. If you break it apart, it'll let the chaos free, but you'll likely lose the frost magic.
Could we do the ritual afterwards and reintroduce the school in a natural way?
You could, if you completely removed the frost magic. You should have natural frost. I'm not sure which part of this is your own frost magic and which part is external. I can look a little closer, see if I can see. Oh, that's curious. Seems like you've been given, truthfully, a very large amount of external frost magic. One thought is to try and cut it away, honestly. Now, how your core would react in that moment, well, you'd want to have some people on standby for the sake of soothing things to keep it from reacting poorly in any significant degree. I imagine your chaos will probably flare up when that happens. Alright. Here's what I think is a path here. Since it's your wish to restore the chaos, and there's a great deal of frost magic that isn't meshing with your core the way it's meant to, you're going to need one, potentially several, skilled frost mages to cut away this external frost magic, either by widening the cracks so it can split off in sections, or by attempting to make incisions. This is a delicate process. It comes with risk. I would also suggest having at least one skilled chaos mage on standby to help control the chaos in the event of preventing any further damage. What will happen is you will be left with a minimal amount of frost magic. And it will, as you put it, unseal your chaos magic, because it will no longer be locked inside a bubble of ice. Now, I'm not a skilled frost mage, so I wouldn't be capable of doing that. But that is what I believe that you need to move forward here. I have some skill with chaos magic. I used it in life, but it's not my dominant school. Someone like Amelia or Evangeline would be better suited to it.
I can do the frost. And I can do chaos, but I don't do it as often anymore.
You shouldn't do both at once. That's a bad idea, frankly. Manipulating core magic is a delicate enough process already. You shouldn't be doing multiple schools at once while doing so.
That I can do then.
You can have backup, but I suggest you have one person holding the proverbial knife, so to speak, here. Since you will be, in a sense, going under the knife, Lucian. Cut too deep. It could mean final death. I say that not to scare you, just to be aware. Core manipulation carries risks, and with what you are intending, you're going to need to be very careful. Now, the theories my ritual is based on, as well as the material expectations, are likely transferable, though the ritual process itself will not be applicable here. It would be possible to use it to help reconstruct your frost after this is done, but this process will require a different sort of effort. I've already given my recommendations. 1, potentially multiple skilled frost mages, for the sake of cutting away this excess frost and letting it free. At least 1 skilled chaos mage to help calm that part of your core, to prevent any flare-ups while the process is happening. You're not working on other schools, so you will not need casters for other schools. While they're present in your core, they don't seem to be affecting this particular issue. At the spire. Truthfully, the only real benefit of the spire in this case is that it has a frost foci that you could draw from and a chaos foci as well. You could do that part anywhere. I suppose if stars align, it could be done here. But I will not be a primary caster because I am at best a mid-range chaos mage. There are others in this land who are much better at it. Very well. I can guide what I believe the process to be, though I will not be an active participant. Outside of potential efforts to calm your core and keep it steady. It's not going to be pleasant. Your core is going to lose a lot of magic. It will likely react somewhat violently. What you're doing here is intentionally cutting away parts of your core. That is not going to be a pleasant process.
Would it help at all if we knocked him unconscious?
It may not. His core will likely react of its own volition, regardless of whether he's conscious or not. It's not a physical thing. Of course, I want you to understand what you're asking and what you're signing up for, so to speak. Well, I'm glad you trust me, Lucian. I suppose I've sort of become the proverbial expert in the room as it comes to core research and core repair. Though there are others who have helped with the contributions. Lothric, Claudia, Hannah has helped with performance of the ritual. She, myself, and Dreamer, well, now Lady Thanavi, Dorian, are the ones who have assisted in the actual performance of the ritual. And of course, you'll need raw materials. Gold bars or obsidian as magical conductors, witch dust, amethysts, sapphires. A frost focus and a chaos focus if you have access to them. If you're doing it here, we'll have the foci in the room. That'll be sort of the magical battery.
materials.
Yes.
Everything except the sapphires charged with frost magic. I had everything prepared to repair his chaos score, should it have been lost, but I'll make sure that I collect more.
Of course. Having the magic to draw from here is going to be useful. One of the key parts of my ritual is you're not feeding your own magic, you're merely guiding other magic. An interesting thought is, oh, this is risky, but you could use a sort of blade of chaos to cut the frost, but I'm not going to suggest that. I think using skilled frost magics to widen and pull apart the already present cracked frost magic that's not supposed to be there is going to be your best bet.
I think the best bet would be essentially using my magics as how I suture patient. Think of it like flossing a wire. I would slowly be shaving off layers or making cuts, as she said.
Here's the way I envision it. There's a bunch of cracks on his core, which I believe you saw, Nabs. I don't.
Yes.
You're going to need a skilled frost mage who is able to, with intention, widen those cracks until they become breaks. Every time there's a break, it's going to hurt a lot. And once you form the breaks, then those chunks of non-native frost magic will be able to float away, truthfully. And every chunk you remove will allow more of his chaos to be able to escape and flow naturally.
Well, having looked at the core, I think that there are some key points that I can expose, and so that only a few adjustments I would need to break the shell, as it were.
This will be dangerous, Lucian. I hope it doesn't get you killed. I'm not asking for payment at this time. What I want is to see this war ended and my family safe, and for there to be no more of blood and battles and death. Yes, Nabs.
Of course.
Very well. You know what you need. You know what this process is going to entail. I leave it to you two to contact the capable Frost and Chaos Mages you want to be performing this process.
Absolutely.
I'm glad I was able to be of help.
Knight's greeting.
Be well, both of you.
I will assert my will, as you wish. Bend to my will.
Hello, Cora's gone. What are you doing here?
How are you?
I'm alright, dear. I was helping with something of a personal medical matter with Lucian and Nabs, but I do think we have a way forward.
Well, that's
Mhm.
good to hear.
Yes, I'm hopeful. Though it'll be dangerous, as this sort of thing tends to be. I believe that It'll work out in the end.
I'm glad.
How have you been, dear?
I've been alright. I've been exploring myself most of the time with the magics that I've become open to.
I see. And tell me about that. How has that gone?
It's very interesting. I have mostly taken, I guess, after you in ways you used blood specifically. I
Have you?
found it to be quite wonderful if I could describe it briefly.
I see.
It certainly is different, especially if I entered any sort of encampments of the soldiers with such magic. It's almost as if they're not there.
Well, you're getting stronger, dear. You're not human anymore. For better and for worse. You're one of us now.
I don't regret any bit of it.
How has... How has it been for you getting used to drinking blood? I know it's different.
It certainly has its taste, though the relief and satisfaction it brings kind of balance it out. Um, I think the biggest hurdle I've ran into has been silver. In fact, I never realized its potency uh, to us. Of course, with the proper equipment, one can manage it. But I've been so used to handling silver when I was a man that I'm surprised by its deadliness.
Yeah, it's very unpleasant. I'm not gonna say you get used to it because that's simply how it's going to be from now on. Silver burns you, as does the sun. So you'll have to stay away from both. It's the nature of things. It's the nature of who we are.
I understand.
Just be careful to keep it away from your skin, and it might help to carry some silver resistance brews in your pockets in case you're worried about it.
Yes, I have been getting back to building tonics once more, and that has been one of the newer recipes I've been working on. How has the lessons in repairing cores have been?
The lessons in repairing cores, or how do you mean? Say again.
I'm like your attempts to do and repairing cores
Oh.
and anything you learn from them. How have they how has it been? I know you've been helping others.
It's
Of
been
course.
it's been very effective, truthfully. Though actually that makes me think I really should start a journal with my the specific notes for core repair for everyone I've treated, just to keep a written record of it. I think I'll start that up actually while things are still fresh in my mind.
Do they differ from patient to patient?
A little bit. The process is ultimately, it's generally the same with minor adjustments. But I have learned a little bit about how things can go wrong and what sort of failure modes actually present themselves. I do think I want to journal that down. Make sure that I have it. It'll be a good written
Sounds like
record.
a good idea.
I don't. Sharing the patient names will not be something I include, I think. Because. Whether or not someone has core damage can be something of a private matter, and not something you want to reveal easily.
Of course. Confidentiality is something I know to be important for
Yes.
doctors.
If I'm going to. I can keep my own records with the names noted. Yes, I think I do want to do this actually. I'll check on them, see if they need anything.
Very well. I'll be here. I'm just relaxing.
Alright. Lucian Nabs, is there anything you need from me? Alright. Then, I'm going to go up to the infirmary and work for a bit. You can jump off. The door's open. So you can leave when you wish.